this is a video about going down roads where there is loads and loads of parked cars on the left and the right, meeting traffic, what to do if there's parked cars on both sides and only you can fit down the middle and somebody's coming the other way. So this is all about finding the gaps, what to do, the conveyor belt and the ribbon technique, right? So I'll probably do an insert of that now actually via paper, just because you won't know what I'm talking about otherwise. So inserts of paper now. Okay guys, so yeah, here we go with another Rosism. So I call this the conveyor belt method. Clearly this is just something that I've come up with, so but it works, right? So this is the conveyor belt method. We'll move on to the ribbon method in a minute. So this is example 1. So this is a road over here with parked cars all over and a gap is on the left. And this is example 2, parked cars on the both sides and there's a gap on the right. So you can see there's a gap on the left here and a gap on the right. So we're going to be pulling into this one. And then in this example, the other person's going to be pulling into this. Please note that you don't pull into the right to give way. You pull into the left to give way, okay? Always, okay? You don't pull into the right, guys, okay? Right, so example number 1. So just don't think about this. We're just concentrating on this for now, okay? So the conveyor belt method, you're coming down here. This is you. Person is coming towards you, okay? Now in this certain situation, you are going to be the one who goes into the gap, okay? Because he can't. There is no gaps on his side. He literally cannot give way. So the way that the conveyor belt method works, I call it that because it's a stop-start situation. It reminds me of a conveyor belt, so I've named it that. So the way that this would work is he might be coming down like that, and then he can literally come down. If he's arrived before you, he can literally just come down and stop here. He can stop there. So this could actually be someone else. He could be bringing down a few people with him and he could stop here. And then he could wait for you to just come up, right? Or if you're there first, you could just go into the gap. That's fine as well. But the conveyor belt method is when you stop and start. So he comes down, he stops, waits for you to come up and go in there. So you stop in here, leaving enough room to be able to pull out again. It's really important because you don't want to lodge yourself in there. So he's come down and stopped. You've gone in there like that and stopped. So obviously like you don't exist here anymore in this picture because you've just gone in there. And then once you've gone in there and stopped, he's then released again and then he can drive down the road. Okay, so that's why it's so bitty. So he comes up, stops, you go in there, stop, he goes, and then when everybody's gone behind him, you go. Okay, simple. Example 2, you're coming down here like this. So we've basically just flipped the picture, just so you can see it from the other point of view. That's him, this is you, okay? The conveyor belt method, you can see that there's only a gap on the right. This is you can see there's a gap there. You're not allowed to pull into it. So you come up and you just stop here. So we've just flipped the picture. So you come up, stop, wait for him to mosey on down. He comes down in here, he stops. He doesn't exist there anymore, obviously. When he's gone in there to give way to you and stopped, you then go, and then he will go after you and everybody behind you is gone. So I just flipped it, didn't I? So we just saw it from both points of view. And I call that the conveyor belt method, okay? It's a stop-starty kind of thing. He stops, waits for you to go in there, he goes, you go. You come up, you stop before the gap, you stop here by the parked cars, allowing him time to mosey on down. He comes in, stops, and then you go, and then he goes. Okay? So that's the conveyor belt method. Okay, so let's just talk about the ribbon technique. So basically I liken this to like pulling a piece of ribbon through clothes. It's more of a moving situation, okay? So with the conveyor belt, it's like stop, start, stop, start. But this one's like a kind of flow, like a pulling the ribbon through. There's no stopping, like for one of you. So obviously this is example 1, this is example 2, that's him,
This is you, the gap's on your side in this example, right? So unlike the conveyor belt technique, you would go in there after he's stopped here, which we've already discussed. He's stopped there, you go in there, he goes, you go. It could be that you can use the ribbon technique. So he could come down here and then he could stop here, opposite the gap. So the gap would have to be quite a lot bigger for the ribbon technique. So he doesn't exist there anymore, okay? So he's changed down here, stopped there. And then you can then come up without going too fast, just come up. He's stopped there, opposite the gap. So then you come up, and then because it's the ribbon technique, you don't need to stop. So you can go in here, round and out. So it's like a moving flow on that one. Yes, he's stopped, but you haven't. You're the piece of ribbon coming through yeah, like that. This would be particularly useful if the man can see that he's on his own and you've got shed loads of people behind you. Let's just say you had 5 or 6 people behind. You could all flow through. So that would be good planning from him. Because if he stopped here and tried to do the conveyor belt method with you when you've got 5 or 6 people behind, wouldn't really make any sense. Yeah, he'd end up having to go here, so the flow would work anyway. So he may as well go here, stop opposite the gap, and get you to ribbon through. Okay, very handy for people behind. Okay, so let's just see it from your point of view. So this is you. You look ahead, you see somebody coming. You see that the gap is on this side, but you can't pull into it. That's not how it works. This person's got to give in. You could do the conveyor belt if you stop here, because then he could come in and stop here, and then you could go, and then he could go, like we've already discussed in the conveyor belt technique. But if he's got a lot of people following him as well, then you can use the ribbon, right? So instead of stopping here, you could go up and just stop opposite the gap. Yeah, so you're not there anymore, you've moved forward. Pausing here, and just let him mosey on down, yeah? Even if you've stopped, you can just let him mosey on down. And then he can just go in here and round. And he can bring all of the people with him down as well, like pulling the ribbon through the piece of fabric. All right, guys? So you see the difference between the two, yeah? There's a flow on this one. If you stop opposite, he stops opposite the gap and it flows. Or you stop opposite the gap and it flows. Just remember, you only pull in on the left, guys. You only pull on the left. If there's a gap on the right, you stop before it to do the conveyor belt, or you stop opposite to do the ribbon. Okay? So you see the difference. The ribbon is a flow, and the conveyor belt is a stop-start situation. This gap would probably be a bit smaller if you're doing conveyor belt. So you'd go forward, stop after he stopped there. He stops, you stop, he goes, you go. Okay? You stop, he stops, you go, he goes. All right, guys, I really hope that helps. Let's get on to the moving video of it.
And now that you know the ribbon and the conveyor belt method, let's do it in reality. Okay, so I just need to reverse and just create some more space here. It's very narrow. Okay, and let's see. So the person is actually struggling already with oncoming people. Okay, so very narrow rows, checking my left all the way around to the right, checking my right mirror thoroughly, checking ahead, checking the right blind spot. Okay, checking my blind spot, checking to see if anybody's getting into the road, because immediately it would be difficult. Lift and dip of my clutch so I get out successfully. Okay, at the end of the road, turn right. The Mini in the other road is reversing. I need to be very careful of that. Mirrors to the right, signal to the right. Okay, peeping and creeping. I need to be very careful to see if I can go. I can't see a thing round the vehicles. Peeping and creeping, taking my time. Need to be very careful about people coming. I can't see yet, I can't see yet, I can't see that. Now I can see. Okay, going slowly. Looking at the gap to see if I can fit, checking my right mirrors. Taking the next road on the right, mirrors to the right, signal to the right. Oncoming people have priority. Checking to see if I can go into the side road. checking all the way down the road to see if somebody's coming. At the moment, there is no one coming. So I'm checking now. There's a gap on my right which I could let somebody into. See the gap on the right? I could stop before it to do the conveyor belt technique. Don't need to. I'm now checking to see if there's any other gaps. I can't see any gaps at all at the moment. So I'm just going carefully. I'm checking for gaps, checking for gaps. There's a very small one that I could reverse park into there if I needed to. No one oncoming. There's another small one that I could reverse park into or can do the conveyor belt there. Mirrors to the left. Returning back to the left, notice that I can drive over the electric car area there because there was no car there. Can't see a thing. I'm going to lift and dip my clutch, pausing for the car. Can't see around the parked car. Lifting and dipping, looking. Yeah, looks okay. Okay. So I'm going to be taking the next road on the left, mirrors to the left, signal to the left. Checking in. It's a very difficult road, lifting. I could stop before the blue car, checking my interior and right mirror, looking to see if someone's coming. I could stop before the baby blue car, looking to see if anybody's coming, looking for gaps. There's a white car. No, that's very small. I can't fit into that gap. Maybe I could reverse park into it actually if somebody came. Checking my mirrors, being careful. Could reverse park into that one if somebody came. I could stop before this gap on the main road to do the conveyor belt technique here. Don't need to at the moment. At the end of the road, turn right. Concerned about the pedestrian, concerned about people turning into this turn. Mirrors to the right, signal to the right. Can't see a thing. Checking both sides, can't see a thing, need to peep and creep. Both sides checking really far ahead. I can stop before the silver car on the left if I needed to, as in the one with the FDL number plate. Checking. I could do the ribbon with somebody, so I could stop opposite this gap to let a person ribbon through. I could pull into this gap on the left if I needed to. At the end of the road, turn left. Concerned about somebody moving into this turn, coming into this turn. Mirrors to the left, signal to the left. Very difficult to see. I arrived before the blue car on the other side and he's going the other way. Looking to see if I can overtake the car. I don't know if I can overtake the car yet. Looking down the road. Yep, checking my right mirror. Okay, so I could do the conveyor belt with somebody. I could stop here and let them into the gap on the right. I'm going past it, looking ahead, using reflection. Could do the conveyor belt method here with that gap. Using reflections, can't see anything in the reflections, looking for reflections. There's a gap on my left which I could use, a gap on the right here, so I could use the conveyor belt or the ribbon, checking, using reflections. Could use the gap before the red car, I need to, so checking my mirrors into the left, checking whether he signals to go into the side road, he doesn't, so I'm coming in. This is the ribbon technique. Checking anybody else, checking my right mirror, looking ahead. At the roundabout, turn left, mirrors to the left, signal to the left. Checking the side, no car there. Going down, having a look as far ahead as possible, checking my right mirror, looking to see if I can go down, Do I need to stop? No, looking good. Take the next road on the left. Mirror signal. Oh, they've made it a one way. Okay. Checking to see if it's okay. This didn't used to be one way. Okay, well, I'll leave it in the video because this person's doing a reverse, which could be useful. This used to be two-way. God, has it been that long since I've been down this road? Okay, so he's doing a reverse, so clearly I just need to give way to him. This definitely used to be a two-way because I taught somebody to drive on here. God, has it been that long? I wonder about how many years it's been. Checking my mirrors. I'm confident that he's not going to come out. I'm going to overtake him now. Okay, so there's somebody coming. So I'm looking for a gap. The gaps are more so on his side, so I'm going to come down and he's signalling now off. He's going to go into the gap on the left and I can come through. The gaps were a bit bigger on this road than I expected, but that could have been ribbon technique or ribbon technique probably. Mirrors to the left, signal to the left. The gaps were a bit bigger on that road than I thought. So checking the oncoming vehicle, I'm going to stop early because he's like really got a wriggle on, this guy. So I really, forward planning had to be absolutely gigantic from me then. Yeah, that's okay, love. That's okay, no worries. Checking. Okay, so checking really far ahead for more people. So you see how far ahead my planning was there. I just was like, nah, I can't go. Checking my mirrors because the oncoming people have priority due to the sign there. At the roundabout, we're going to turn right. Slightly after 12 o'clock, that can be a helpful signal. Okay, so back into a nasty little road again, looking ahead, looking at reflections, looking for gaps on the left, on the right. There's a gap on the right here. Does anybody need to use it? Looking at the reflections. There's a gap on my left where I could pull into and do the conveyor belt method. Checking reflections. Does anybody need to, do I need to stop for anybody? Looking at reflections. We're okay. Looking for gaps. Checking. Next road on the left, mirror signal. Hard to see because of the van. I call this Mean Mead Road. If my student's watching, she'll find that funny. Okay, so checking, lots of industrial stuff going on around here. This is a test route for Cheltenham watchers. Checking my interior and right mirror. Checking, looking for gaps. Gaps on the left and the right, so potentially both of us could pull in. Checking my mirrors. There's a gap on the left and by the junction, and I need to use it. Mirrors, checking for his signals. No, he's not using any. Mirrors to the right. She said thanks. Mirrors to the right. So in those situations where there's a turning on the left, you need to be careful and monitor where they're signalling, because if they need to go into it, you could use extra gap. I'm going to come in here. That's just a giving way point. The ribbon. That's more so the ribbon. He didn't stop to do the ribbon, but the timing of it. So mirrors. I'm going to give way. Coming in, making sure I don't look like I've parked. Stop 2 car lengths away from the parked car and stuck out a little bit so you don't look like you've parked. Mirrors to the right. I wouldn't get too close to the parked cars in these situations, like a car length at minimum, really. You know, because otherwise, I mean, how are you going to get out otherwise? Mirrors to the right. You don't really want to box yourself in. It turns into an absolute nightmare. If you can give 2 car lengths of space from the parked car, that would be great. Checking. Okay, so looking ahead, looking at the gaps, checking my right mirror, no one here. So I could do the conveyor belt method with the gap that's on the right, checking my mirrors. Thinking about potentially stopping here to let somebody in the gap on my right and then letting them through. Looking for gaps. I could do the conveyor belt method again. No, I couldn't. There's a car there. So I could pull into this gap here on the left if somebody came around the corner. Checking. Careful my speed. Checking. Returning back to the left safely when I can. Just so I'm out the way. Checking to the left. Being cautious that somebody's going to throw themselves around the corner. Checking to see if I can overtake the first parked car, checking my right mirrors. Could use the conveyor belt method if necessary, but they'd probably pull in there. Could pull into the left. Where is everybody? There's no cars around. How am I supposed to teach anything? There's no one around. Where is all the cars? There you are, but you're going in the wrong direction. All right. Right, come on, give us some energy. Come on, give us something. Come on. Right, so looking ahead. There's a car coming. Checking. I could stop before the taxi. Checking my mirrors. Yep, I'm going to be stopping for the taxi. Checking his signals. Checking. Scooter on my left. Checking. Mirrors to the right. Forward planning for the silver car that's arriving. Checking my gaps. I could use the one before the car with the lights on. Yep, he might pull into his, but I'm going to go for mine. Yep, we're both pulling in at the same time. There's enough space to continue. Checking my mirrors. So we both went slowly to make plans for each other. Checking my mirrors. Interesting. Slowing down. Interesting driving from him. He looked like he was going to give way and then he didn't. That was quite interesting, wasn't it? It's a good thing I slowed down. Checking to the right. Mirrors to the right. Signal to the right. Checking, can't see. Checking. May have to come out a little bit further. Checking. Can't see. Yeah, okay. Checking. Putting my body forward. Loads of cars. Handbrake on. Checking. Putting my body forward. Looking. Pedestrians. Checking. Pedestrians are staying there. That's good. The roundabout, turn left, first exit. Mirrors to the left, signal to the left after the turn that I didn't want, no one to give way to. Checking into the difficult turn, checking to see if I need to stop before the first parked car. I don't. Checking for reflections, checking the gaps. There's a gap on my left before the red car, gap on the left before the BMW. Checking to turn right, mirrors, signal. Checking oncoming vehicles, checking into the turn, no oncoming vehicles, checking down the road to see if anybody's there. Difficult, there is no gaps on this road. However, I reckon we could probably fit at the same time if we're both careful. Mirrors to the left, signal to the left. Whatever that white thing on the floor is, what is that white thing? Nothing to worry about, okay. Good. We need to be careful what we drive over, don't we? Checking, creeping. Checking, using reflections, going slowly, checking ahead, is there a car? No. Checking for gaps. Person on my right is signalling, what's he up to? Checking nice and slow, checking for gaps. It could be a reverse park situation if somebody comes. I could use the conveyor belt method by stopping here with the gap on the right if somebody was coming. Following the one-way system, mirrors to the right, signal to the right, so one way, signal anyway. Bike. Checking up, clutch down. I can't see a thing. Looking through the glass of the cars, At the end of the road, turn left, mirrors. Can't see pedestrians, worried about pedestrians, checking both sides on this very narrow road, looking through the glass of the cars, creeping out, putting my body forward in the car. Okay, so big space on this side. I could stop to use the conveyor belt. I could go into the left if I needed to. Not going too fast here. Big gap on my right. Checking my mirrors. Taking the next road on the left, mirrors, signal. Okay, starts off as a one-way, but it will get more difficult. Checking for bikes. I'm afraid bikes don't necessarily follow the rules. Checking for bikes. Looking for reflections of bikes. Checking for bikes and pedestrians. Checking for wheels out. Checking for car doors opening. Checking for indicators, checking for cars moving off, someone's behind me, mirrors to the right, signal to the right, checking for somebody coming out of this road, checking going down into first gear, allowing more time, looking up the street. Do I need to stop before the first parked car? No. Checking, looking for gaps, constantly looking for gaps. There's one on the left that I could reverse into if I needed to. However, there is someone behind me looking for reflections, looking for cars, wheels sticking out. There's a gap on my left, which I could go into if somebody was coming. Gap after that, where the white car is as well, looking for oncoming vehicles. As I approach the bend, I need to be very careful that somebody isn't coming around this bend too quickly. Speed by braking, anticipate and braking, returning back to the left when possible with mirrors, coming back in, checking my mirrors. Take the next road on the right, mirrors to the right, signal to the right. Oncoming people have priority, checking for them. Looking into the turn, there's a pedestrian with a pizza. I want one of those. Definitely need one of those. I should be at home now, but I'm making this video for YouTube. Checking down. looking for gaps, looking for gaps. Car wheels stuck out, looking for gaps, looking for gaps, looking for gaps. I think my battery's going to run out too. This is going to... There's a road on the left which will make a gap for me, but I do need to make sure that no one oncoming wants to use it. I could use it as a gap, which would be pretty much the ribbon technique, really. Could pull into this gap here, which would be, yeah, pretty much the ribbon again. Bend coming up, need to be extremely careful. Mirrors to the left, going down into first gear in case some crazy person's coming around the corner. Mirrors to the left. Being very, very careful now. Reflections, reflections, reflections. Looking down, looking down, looking down. Look, no one's there. Okay. Clutch coming up to the bike, committing to the gap. Looking for other gaps that I could use if I needed to. I can't use any gaps. Looking ahead, pedestrians in the road. Thinking about car wheels sticking out. Thinking about badly parked vehicles going slowly in second gear, but that's okay. Then going to go around the bend. People may think this is a T-junction, even though it looks like major road going around. Checking both sides just in case anybody's coming out of the junctions because it's unmarked. Checking the spacing nice and slow with first gear. Lifting and dipping my clutch so I don't hit anything. Nice and slow. Looking for gaps, looking for gaps, looking for gaps. Pizza man on the left. I wonder whether he delivered the pizza to the man. Off topic. Turning right, mirrors to the right, signals to the right because there's no point in going down in one way. You won't learn anything. Checking to see if it's okay. Bit more space on this road. Gap on the left that I could use if I need to. Looking at the gap, looking at the gap, looking at reflections, looking at the pedestrian, looking at the reflections, looking at the reflections. Pulling into the gap before the red car because it's a big enough one. Checking my mirrors. Checking my interior right mirror, looking ahead, looking ahead, looking ahead. There is a car that's pulling in, but he's quite far away. He's doing a turn at the end, mirrors to the left. See how far away my forward planning is, guys. Checking to the right, thinking about the person on the right, pedestrian. People could pull out junctions, looking at the gaps, could go into the gap on the left, could go into the gap there. If somebody came now, they should give way to me. Should. Mirrors signal. You can't assume. And guys, I think that's it. I think I said that on my previous video. She's turning, but the person behind's way too close. Checking, checking, checking. Cool. Stay there, black car. Come on, come on. Okay. He's turning, and that looks good. Okay, guys, I really hope that helps you today, and I'll see you on the next one.